No, I have it sitting on the,
Seeing it's 5:30, we'll call the meeting to order. The Carroll Community School District School Board of Education meeting for August the 17th. First on the agenda, to approve the agenda. Is there a motion?
I make a motion that we approve the agenda.
Second.
Annika,
Yes.
Cindy,
Yes.
Dwayne,
Yes.
Karen,
Yes. Okay, consent agenda. It's like Cindy, you had bills. Any
Yes.
questions?
And they were all in order.
Resignations, Casey, do you want to speak about anything there?
Yep, we do have one. We did get a resignation. When we had our pre-board meetings, there were no resignations, but we did get one. Jessica Mowry wishes to resign her special education teacher associate position at Carroll Middle School. Jessica has worked for the district for 8 years.
Can you make a motion to do that? Or no?
Just approve the
Yeah.
consent
Yeah,
agenda.
yeah. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll move to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Cindy,
Yes.
Dwayne,
Yes.
Karen,
Yes.
Annika.
Yes.
On to the public forum. Hi, Jack.
Hi, how are
Welcome.
you?
Welcome.
Thank you. Here. Mike and I had asked Casey if we could just come by and present our rec center plan. I'll try to be brief. And Mike had an appointment today at 4 in Ames, so he wasn't able to be here. But I still want to come and just give you an overview of our project. You know, with this project, there's probably some things that the school might be able to utilize and some things we can do together if the rec center improvements are approved. So I'll touch on a couple of those items too. And I brought some poster boards just to kind of show what we're doing. You know, when we were talking about the aquatic center and some of our other projects, we didn't have Facebook, Twitter, all those other forums to really get information out. So this has been nice. We've put out tons of information. Mike especially, he's a lot better at Facebook than I am, has posted a lot of things, got a lot of information out. So some of this might be similar to you or you've seen it, but I'll try to be brief and definitely any questions that I can answer, please let me know. This first slide is really the overview. Cindy, can you see it?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. Okay. Overview, all the white is current rec center. We're not doing any improvements. We might do a few small things in the project. I should say one thing is the theater. Currently, that's one of the things people have said, you're doing the rec center improvements, but you're not doing anything to the theater. That's not exactly true. We do have 200,000 available to do in the theater. It is one of our funding sources, local option sales tax or hotel motel tax. So we are going to address the theater, not necessarily during this project. It might be done before. It's just a matter of talking to the recitals, those groups, our users, to say, what do you see? What are your needs? I know when the dance recitals come in, they bring extra speakers, extra lighting. Maybe those are things that we need to do to improve. So we do have 200,000. It's not going to address every need, but we will be able to address and update some of those things in the theater area. All the pink, all the dark colors are new or renovated areas. One nice thing when I started 15 years ago, almost 16 years ago, you walk into the rec center. If you're new, you're not greeted by anyone. You really don't know where to go. They get into the middle of the building. We average about 400 people through the rec center a day on an average day. I'm guessing there's probably another 20, 25 that go in the fitness room or go to seniors into that room for cards or their meals. We don't count those people because we really don't have a way of getting them accounted for. So by moving that control desk up to the front of the building, you walk into our rec center, you're greeted. We have a way of tracking more people coming in and out. Currently, when we had the COVID closure in March, when we first opened, we kept the east side closed. Everyone comes in the west side. Apparently, 30 years ago when the rec center opened, for a lot of years, that was the only entrance. The east side was for staff only. But as years went on, got pressure, we opened the east side. Well, now with technology and everything, we plan on having something similar to what the school has. When you come out here, if I push the button, someone answers, says hello, I say Jack Royal City. We're gonna have something like that. So those people that really need help getting into that area, they'll just push a button, we'll be able to open the doors for them. Those are things that we're changing, that we're gonna do, that necessarily aren't a part of this project, but we will be addressing as we go forward. So new entrance, new offices, the seniors will still have their area for congregate meals, cards. That's in the current office area where my office is, where we staff, our full-time staff will be up front and just switching them around. Locker rooms, right now you have men's and boys, women's and girls. We're gonna take everything back to the walls, restart and rebuild them. The women's showers right now have individual showers. Men's have 2 gang showers, I guess you'd call them, with the 4 shower heads on each pole. Well, they're gonna be individual showers. You'll go in and shower, you can come out into another area that's closed off to change, dry off. Just get ready, then you can get out into the locker rooms. So the women's will have that similar, and the men's will have that. That'll be a nice addition. Just making it more user-friendly. It's just a situation that it's showing its age. It's just not, it doesn't need ADA. If someone in a wheelchair needs to get in the locker room, it's going to be tough for them. We'll have that for them. And with that, in 2012-13, we added 2 family change rooms. Well, we're going to add 2 more in this project. Those have been a big success. When we first started that project, it was, I don't know how much they'll get used, but they're used constantly. And it's been a nice addition that we've added to it. So that's really the control area. We'll still have a control room person out where they currently are in nights when you need more staffing. Years ago, we used to have 2 at the control desk. It just got to the point where a lot of talking, and they were not moving around like they were supposed to. We're now allowed the control desk here. They'll be down there. We'll have this person manning that area. We just, school year is very busy. Those are things we need to get back to doing. And then to the east of the current gym will be another open area. They show a basketball court. We might not even line a basketball court. This could be an area for soccer, batting cages, just different activities that we're not currently doing that there's a need for in the area. So as we move forward with the project, those things will be decided. We might have some extra hoops in there, but not necessarily another basketball court just for basketball. We want volleyball. Volleyball's huge in Carroll. We want to possibly put some holes in there to have more volleyball time. Right now they play volleyball in here, and people are walking that area. People have gotten hit. It's just it's a busy area. So hopefully we'll relieve some of that busyness in this area with that. And then the last thing on the gym side is the raised running track. We will have 3 lanes, 10 laps to a mile over here. And this is one area you guys have track teams. When it's cold, my daughter ran track. There's a lot of cold and rainy days that they had practices out here at the school. Maybe you guys use that for some of your distance running and different things. I'd definitely be open to allowing stuff like that. But elevator to get up to the track, and then another nice feature is where the weight room is. There will be stairs to go up. You have to go up a few stairs to get up to the track and walk. A year ago, we made the choice to go 24 hours in this room. That might be even a possibility to have that area for the running track later in the evenings. A lot of requests for 24 hours to allow the basketball courts to be open. We haven't gone that far, But those are things that as we expand, as we get busier, things we need to consider. So that's the raised running track. So any questions with that? Anything? Last thing is another storage area. You never have enough storage. And then the pool area, I got a couple slides. I'll show a little bit more detail. The current pool will stay the same, 6 lanes. The diving will stay the same. We're gonna have a climbing wall, so you can climb up 10 feet or so, lean back and fall into the pool. Just another feature I think the kids will like.
The kids.
Parents. We will have a new floor. We'll tear out the old tile floor, so it all matches. That's really the only thing in that area. Whirlpool will stay the same. The sauna down here does go. I'll show it over here. So this part pretty much the same. This part where the other pool area is gets filled in. We're gonna have area for real young kids. You know, when we moved here, there wasn't a lot for real young kids to do in that pool area, or really in the rec center anywhere. It's really for kids that are a little bit older. Parents with young kids come in, they use the gym a little bit, but not a lot. So this will be a splash pad area, no standing water, water features, spray guns, small water slides, area where mom and dad, grandma, grandpa feel comfortable, you know, sitting down, watching their kids play. And the nice thing in this area, so where the current door is, it'll all be glassed, separate from the rest of the area, but you can get into there hours that the rec center is open. So mornings when we normally close, you know, from 9 to 11, 8 to 11, you'll be able to get in that area. And the nice thing with that, we decided was to put the sauna and steam room over in those areas, so those are available more hours than just having the pool open. Whirlpool, you know, that's just going to be pool hours. So this is all glass. We can see in there. The nice thing about this, you don't need a lifeguard. You know, it's at your risk. You know, so there's no risk. So mom and dad, whoever's in there with the young kids, will be able to enjoy that area. Where the current patio is, where it's open, that's all going to be enclosed. We'll have 4 more lanes. Right now, your swim team uses 4 lanes. During practice, we keep 2 lanes open for members. I think this will be a time that hopefully they can get all 6 lanes. Some team can use those 6 lanes. We'll add 4 more lanes. They won't be, these are 25 yards. These will only be 20, but still warmer water than what's in here. So our fitness classes, our water classes, the senior, the adults, they'll like that warmer water. 0 depth entry area with fountains, spray features for kids to enjoy, people to enjoy. That'll go into 3 feet of water. And then over here is kind of what we call a therapy area, shooting water that people want to walk. They've had sore knees, have had surgery, those things. It's moving water and they will enjoy that. And then another nice feature is the large water slide. So we'll add a water slide. You remember we used to have a water slide over here. We removed it about 8 years ago. The frame of it just got rusted out, and we had planned on putting another diving board back in that area. We found out when we put in the slide, they took out all the underground stuff for that. We wanted the diving board structure underneath to stay there. We just put over the top, but it was tore out. So it's like $50,000 to come back and put another diving board in. So we did not do that.
The water slide will go into the walking area or into the pool area?
Into a plunge area. Yeah, it'll be its own little plunge
Okay,
area,
I see.
similar like this, much smaller. And this might have to be 4 to 5 feet of water for it to go into. That'll be the deepest part. This will be, you know, probably 4 feet the whole way.
Jack, what's the black L there that divides the pools? Is that a wall or is that, what's that?
That is the current wall. That will stay in place.
Okay.
So when you go into look at the pool area where you have the glass doors and the glass, those 4 doors, those are what's being taken out, but everything else stays.
So that would be an open area to walk
Yeah,
back.
yeah.
Through.
And our envision right now is this pool open, it's hours that it's open now. So we'll We'll do our water walking, some of our different things in the morning in that area, water classes. This will be open evenings and weekends after school. So when kids want to come after school, we envision this being open. One is because early morning, we try to keep both of them open. I don't know if we can get guards. This is 3 guards. And in the morning, we just need 1 because we're under 30. The state law says you can have 1 guard per 30 patrons. And we never get that early in the morning. So we can just have 1, but if we open this, minimum 3, if you have 1 at the slide, 1 here, and 1 over in this area.
So what I'm hearing is that prime time for walkers will have children playing amongst them.
Yes,
Okay,
Yeah.
so it still won't be a good place to walk.
I think it will. It'll be warmer water than what's in here. This will still be open early morning, so when the kids,
Okay.
during the school, yeah. So the water walking in the morning this probably be the only pool open.
'Cause I don't know if you were aware that we had those 2 lanes to walk on while the team was practicing,
Mhm.
but they're deeper water. I
Yeah.
had to stand on my very tiptoes to keep water from going in my nose.
I know that,
So,
yeah. When the swim team came, normally they take 2, 3, 4, 5.
Right.
And it was our thought, is trying to keep them together in 4 and then our members in 2. So weren't crossing back and forth to get into the pool was our thought process on that. And we did, you should be in 1 and 2.
okay, it was 1 and then
6,
6.
and that's deeper water.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is. It's,
Yeah,
it's much deeper.
yeah. It's funny how it does slope to the deeper end, yeah. So,
So,
yeah.
okay.
Sure. And then the last area is a what we call a wet classroom. So when there's swim meets, the coaches can be in there. You can set up computers. You can do whatever you need to do out of that area. Or it can be used for birthday parties. You know, when we want to rent out, have birthday parties. Right now, if you have a birthday party, you're down in our activities room down here. Then you're going to the pool. We can have all the food and everything in that area. So that'll be a nice addition for that. So that's really the overall plan. And then just a couple quick pictures. As you see, the pool area stays the same. The new pool will slide. And here's a better view of the sauna steam room, the kids play area, and that glass wall. Just another view. This would be from the southwest corner, looking back towards the pool. The water slide and those things. And then this would be if I'm standing at the baseball stadium. I'm looking back at the rec center. You can see a lot of windows. And the nice thing is the north side of the track will actually be on the outside of the building. We're not cutting into the gym area. It'll be on the outside where we have the current storage room. We're building another storage room. The track will sit on that portion. So when people, you have football games, track meets, different activities, when people are walking, they'll be able to, see the football game, soccer game, and track. So that'd be a nice feature with that. So that's looking back. And then you saw the track. Hit everything. Yes, financing. It's a $13 million project. The council has already set aside $1 million of local option sales tax. You're gonna have a vote here September 8th. You're gonna be asked 2 questions. One, should the city renew basically the local option sales tax and get away, take the sunset out? We're the only city in the county that has a sunset. So all these other communities don't have a sunset. We're one of 30 right now in the state of 960 cities, villages, whatever, townships. There's only 30 that have a sunset. We're one of the 30. So really, that's what we're asking you, is not to renew it and not have a sunset. We want to use $7.6 million over 20 years, a little over $400,000 for this project. Right now, the city brings in about $1.5 million local option sales tax. The first 25% is tax relief. So on your house taxes, you get 25% tax relief. So that's what, about $400,000. And then Another portion, 500,000 is for streets. You see a lot of street repairs, you see our signs up that we're telling people about our lost vote. That 500,000 goes away, you're not gonna see as much roads. I mean, I think Randy one time said 500,000 gets you about a mile of road. So there's 70 miles of roads in our community, so it's gonna take a while. But he has other funds, he uses other road tax funds too, but this is a nice addition. People see immediate results with that 500,000. So then the last, basically third of it, we want to use 400,000 for the rec center over 20 years. So that leaves about 100,000 discretionary money. Maybe we'll get some great businesses and increase that 1.5 million. But we want to use 20 years of this low cost of sales tax to help offset the rec center project. And then the last section is 5.9 million. Is basically against your property taxes. The one thing we do, we have the aquatic center coming off, the cemetery building, and 3rd Street project that are all coming off the books in the next couple of years. So I'm sure you know, I don't have to explain your property taxes and how that works, but on a $200,000 house, about $1,100 is city funds. We're gonna keep that number the same. Because those projects come on, we can put this on to replace that. So what you guys do, what the county does, you know, those are different funding sources, but our intention is to keep the $1.50 per thousand, you know, for city taxes.
What, if anything, will be open in those 18 months of construction? Anything at the rec center be open?
Oh, yes, Dick,
Okay.
we'll stage. You know, I would envision they'll come do the east side of the gym and the raised running track. So yeah, there'll be some downtime, especially when they're doing the track. The pool, our vision is they would close that in. That's the first thing to do is enclose that. Then they start doing that construction. We'll have to tape it off or whatever to try to control dust and noise. But can I look anyone in the face and say this isn't going to affect swim team? It is. I use the example, my daughter, her senior year track, you know, we had home track meets in Denison. Those are just progress, things you got to do if you want to improve your community. Football stadium was a slam dunk. I mean, it's just a beautiful facility, and we have that now for a long time. And we hope this is what the rec center can do.
Thanks, Jack.
Yeah. Thank you.
Anything else we can?
You bet.
Yeah.
And then you can get
Projects.
your absentee ballots, or you can vote now. Let's go to the
Understood.
courthouse.
So that the actual voting is
September 8th.
September 8th. Okay,
Yep.
so, okay,
So you come to St. John and vote,
that's right,
St. John and vote.
that's right. Unless you do,
Or you can go to the courthouse.
Yeah.
That's right.
By Friday.
yes, yeah. And there is absentee ballots as well. So
Yes.
for those high school kids and college kids that are out of town. So, thank you.
Thanks.
that
Thanks,
looks
Jack.
amazing. That's amazing. Looking forward to it. Okay, moving forward. Next subject is donations, the United Way of Carroll. And it appears that we received this money May 2020 for the middle school, $3,500. So I don't even remember if we voted on that or not. That's the only thing. I can't remember.
At the United Way, or
Yeah.
I don't remember the specifics of it. I know it went to be used for therapy
That's right.
rooms or things that they can put in a room that look like therapeutic for kids that come.
That's right. I think Becky based it about that social emotional.
I'm tied to social emotional. Yep. So it's a little late. We just, when we had several months there, well, we're still in the midst of being consumed with COVID-19. So we missed it. So that's why it's on now. We want to make sure we got it on.
So a motion to accept the donation.
I think
We
that's-
already did it. We already did it.
Yeah.
We need a motion for it, yeah.
I make an emotion, we accept the donation from the United Way of Carroll for therapy. Carroll was-
Dwayne? Yes. Karen?
Yes.
Annika?
Yes.
Cindy?
Yes.
Okay. Moving on to the personnel report.
Yeah, we got in your folder, yep, the pink sheet. There's 8 on here, so I'll go through those. First, Jerry Raymond's recommending Carla Henson for middle school special education teacher associate position. She worked for the district previously for 8 years, and so $12.10 would be the rate of pay. 7-hour contract, 7 hours a day. Second, Tammy McKenzie's recommending Sarah Finneran for high school regular education teacher associate for the SAS room. She has some previous experience in other districts, as you can see. If approved, she would receive $11.84 for her pay, rate of pay, and that's 7 hours a day as well. Patrick Rabbit is recommending Sue Grieving as a regular education teacher associate in Tiger Zone. She would get $11.44 an hour, and this was 3.5 hours a day. Patrick Rabbit is recommending Mindy Stout for a regular education teacher associate position in the Tiger Zone program, which is the before and after school program, remember. If approved, she would get $11.24 an hour, and that's for well, Mindy currently works for the food service department. If approved, she would work 2 hours a day in the Tiger Zone program, depending on the schedule.
So that would be in addition to what she does. Okay.
5, Jeff Cullen is recommending Sharon Byer for a contracted bus driving position. Sharon drove previously for 21 years. If approved, she would work 3.5 hours a day and be paid $18.92 an hour. 6, Jeff Collins recommending Jesse Tapman for a contracted bus driving position. Previously, he had worked at New Hope Village. If approved, he would earn $18.62 an hour, and it would be 3.5 hours a day. The approval is recommended contingent upon obtaining his CDL license and clear background check. 7, Randy Beeson is recommending Caitlin Kaufman as assistant varsity volleyball. Caitlin was assistant volleyball coach at Charter Oak Youth NAHST before she came to Carroll. She has been also our 7th grade volleyball coach. So she, if approved, she would be on step 8 and receive $3,340. Randy Beeson is recommending Joey Lappy for set construction for the fall play. If approved, he would receive a stipend of $1,131. And then finally, I'm recommending Molly Rydell for nurse position. That's that 1-year position that the board approved. Molly has previously worked in local clinics and the hospital as an RN. If approved, she would be on step 21 and would receive $33,448. It is a 1-year position. She would receive 90% of the family health insurance paid by the district if she chooses that option. And again, that nurse position's 1 year, and it's something we'll evaluate in the spring to see where our needs are and that kind of thing. That's what we have.
I'll move to approve the, actually there are 9 recommendations on here.
Yeah.
There are 4 is listed twice. So I'll move to approve the 9 recommendations for hires here.
I second.
Karen?
Yes.
Annika?
Yes, 1 through 8, and abstain from 9.
Okay. Cindy?
Yes.
Dwayne?
Yes.
The next item, administrative report, is for the Manson Northwest Webster Community School North Central Consortium School. I'm sorry, no, DMAC, above that, DMAC observation contracts. So that's actually in a kind of a teal color in the back of your packet. And the DMAC is orange. The DMAC is orange in front of that, and then
Yeah.
there's a teal one. So the first one is the DMAC, pre-education program observation hours.
I guess the only thing I would say about it is it is something we've had in place. We'll see with everything going on. I don't know if it'll be the same number of kids that are doing that or not, but I think it's good to go ahead and approve it. And maybe at the start we're not doing it as much, but later in the year maybe we're able to do more of it. We'll just have to see how it goes. But I think it would make sense to go ahead and approve it.
I agree. This is one where they actually go out and do some sort of a internship with the different businesses, right?
Well, this is for pre-education program observation hours. So those kids, I think this is for DMAC kids, so they can come in and observe teachers in the district. Which, the one thing that it's gotten better, but still getting kids as many opportunities to learn about what teaching is in that setting. That's best,
Sure.
Rather than in classrooms. And so I think we would want to be supportive of those kind of things.
I'll move to approve the DMAC pre-education program observation hours.
Second.
Annika,
Yes.
Cindy,
Yes.
Dwayne,
Yes.
Karen,
Yes. Okay, moving on, the Manson Northwest Webster Community, that's the teal color. That's an agreement here.
Mhm. And so this is, again, something we've been part of this consortium for several years for sure. Last year, I know we were, and I believe the year before that for sure. Then I'd have to go back and look to see how much longer, but so this is another option that we have for students to try to meet the variety of needs that we have in the district. So a consortium, it's a group of schools that have gone together to form this program. It's located in the Manson Northwest Webster Community School District operates it. They're the financial agent, but we go to Fort Dodge. So we have a student that the plan is for that student to start the year there. Also, the student was there last year. The IEP team met it, in the spring, later in the year. The decision of the team was that there was progress being made to the point where they felt like it made sense to stay in that program and continue to hopefully see that progress, with the goal being to come back to the regular school setting. So
Last year, was that just half the year?
well, it was we missed about a quarter of the year, so it was 3/4. Now, if you mean, did we only have to pay for 3/4 of the year? No, we paid for the whole year. But that's how schools
The student
handle
was
it.
there.
The student was there for the whole year. Yeah, that we
was
were in
my
school.
question.
Okay. Yep. We transport. We provide the transportation to and from the program daily.
There are any issues with that starting the year? That's all starting in person and everything too.
Yep. I saw the number of kids they have there. They won't have any trouble social distancing, and they got a good plan from what I've seen. So, we're talking pretty small class sizes. So, yeah, good question.
So motion to approve.
I move that we approve the plan with Manson Northwest Mass Webster Community School for this student. Gary, would you clean that language up?
No problem. I'll second it.
Cindy,
Yes.
Dwayne,
Yes.
Karen,
Yes,
Annika.
Yes.
okay. C actually has the actual first readings and second readings for several different policies. And I'm talking with Casey, we might want to go ahead and look at the second readings first and look whether or not we want to approve. If you scroll down to 407, 432, 240, maybe look at those first, and then he'll address the first readings of 422 and so on. So they're actually in I think this is actually in a pink section as well. Sure. Oh, I meant 47. Yeah.
Forgive me, but you'll have to speak up just because
Oh.
the
Sorry.
machinery is going off
Okay.
and it's difficult.
All right. We're looking at the second readings for 407, 432, and 240. Maybe they're not in here.
Yeah, they are. They're in the pink.
In the pink.
Yeah.
Just overlooked them. There you go. There's 427.
Maybe keep scrolling. We'll keep rolling. It's past that. There you go.
There you go. There we go.
47 in white.
407.
Go past that.
Yeah, go. Keep going. It's way back. It's almost to the very end. There's 4071. It's almost the last three or four pinks there before you get to the green. Before you get to the lime
Okay.
green. You'll see policy employee travel compensation code number 407.
I'll get it
Got it?
done.
All right.
So 407 is just our policy has been 40 cents per mile. And you can see we're striking through that 40 cents on page 1 and saying that we'll be reimbursed at the current IRS standard mileage rate for business as of July 1st of the current year. And so then the rest of the changes are just to line up everything with that language.
And they just included the different calculations for the different
Yeah.
trips. Yeah.
Any questions on that one?
No.
Okay. And
240.
yeah, the next policy is to,
I think that 432 is in there, but I can see. It jumps. from
Workers-
407 to
Okay.
440, so-
did we miss that one? It's,
Yeah,
Yeah, it looks like that's the worker comp.
Yeah, that's
it's
the-
online here, yeah, and yeah, if you have your computer work, it's on workers' compensation, and this policy, actually, the revisions came from Brett Nitschke, our attorney, had reviewed our 400 series, and these revisions to this policy did come from him. But we are making some additions and and deleting some things from that policy. So, I mean, I don't know if you want me to read through it or if you're.
Can you see it, Dwayne? Can you all see it?
Yeah, basically, we're just adding when an employee becomes seriously injured on the job, employee supervisor will attempt to notify a member of the employee's family or an individual close in relationship as soon as the supervisor becomes aware of the injury. If possible, the employee may administer emergency minor first aid. Injured employee may be turned over to the care of the employee's family, qualified medical personnel as quickly as possible. The district is not responsible for the medical treatment of an injured employee. It's responsible for the employee injured on the job to inform the superintendent or designate within 24 hours of the occurrence. It's responsibility of the employee's immediate supervisor to file an accident report within 24 hours after the employee reports the injury. Then it'd be the responsibility of our business affairs, director of business affairs, to file comp claims. That's the new language. You see there's some that was struck out. It's just a little more detailed, I guess.
Yeah.
what I added versus what was there, so.
I wouldn't say they're like, we've made crazy changes to it,
No.
but it just, I think it's more clear language, at least from an attorney's perspective. So. And then
240.
240 is public participation in board meetings. And this one is, again, just looking at our policy compared to the IASB policy. The first two paragraphs in a sentence are the same, and then we're adding that third or fourth paragraph, depending on how you look at it. And actually, that's not new. We've had that in our policy. You would see it later in the strike through, but it's just repeated. And that there it talks about the 3 minutes. Yeah. So, and then a lot of what we're striking through is those things are in other policies already, like how to be placed on the agenda, public forum, that kind of thing. Those are in other policies in that 200 section. So it's really clean up. Is the way I look at it.
Okay, so that would actually be the second reading policies.
Yep.
I'll move to approve second reading of 407, policy 432, and policy 230.
Dwayne,
Yes.
Karen,
Yes.
Annika,
Yes.
Cindy,
Yes.
Okay, we'll move back up to C with starting with policy 422, employee leave of absence, which is a new policy. Casey wanted to say something about that.
Yeah. So this policy did come from IASB, and as we think about school starting and with COVID-19 and stuff, we know that there are going to be some leave issues for staff. And so IASB did put out this policy. And in my pre-board meetings, several of you had questions about this, some questions about this policy and also the FMLA, which we'll get to in a second. So I did do some follow-up after our meetings with, I contacted, again, the school's attorney is Brett Nitschke. Now, they're located in Cedar Rapids, and so they are over their heads with cleaning up after the storm. So Brett didn't have very good internet connection and cell phone service and stuff, but a person in his office that we have worked with on other issues, Emily Ellingson, I did have her look at our policies, this one and the FMLA for sure. And her recommendation is that we don't need to adopt 422. If you look at the policy primer that IASB sends out, 422 by itself, the policy that you're looking at, you see it lists the different kinds of leave that we have for regular licensed employees and regular classified employees. If you go look in your online or in your manual, you'll see a policy on almost all of these already. What they're attempting to do is say you don't need to have all those standalone policies, you move it all here, which is you know, for the most part, it's okay to have fewer policies than more. So that makes sense. In talking with Emily, though, she said, I think before we would adopt this, we probably just need to review where we have these things listed already. Because if we already have them in a handbook or a negotiated agreement, we really don't need to have them in policy. So by not adopting this, and then at some point we may want to go back and look at these individual standalone policies and maybe take those out, as long as we've got them in another place.
Well, one thing on this, is you don't want to get to where this leaves language that somebody's going to interpret differently than in the handbook.
Right.
And I actually had a little bit of a concern on the bereavement leave. It's just lost a family member. I mean,
Right.
we had previously on the board had to define what that meant. And then a close friend, I personally wouldn't want that in there
Yeah.
because most people it'll be fine, but it's just you get people that you're gonna get, especially a bereavement. Now if it's to go, but take 3 days off, that doesn't seem appropriate. We had issues with that in the past on the board and actually really clarified it down to uncles, cousins, or whatever.
Yeah.
It got pretty muddy really fast. I don't know what's in the handbook, but I would see a conflict with that statement right there. Define what family is. If the handbook's a little different, somebody will pull it up and say.
Sure.
Are you looking for something like, instead of it just the umbrella bereavement, funeral attendance leave or something like that, that they can go for 3 hours
Well,
to a
they still
funeral?
can take a personal day or
Okay, they can take a personal day.
They have choices and options for that. When you get into a bereavement, you're there to help assist somebody in loss.
Right.
And most cases, close friend or whatever, I thought that's, and I understand it, but that didn't necessarily need to be during the day, during work hours.
So we've got, so I'm backtracking saying, I don't think we need to adopt 422. And then you've got E1 and E2 that go with that. And these forms are probably forms that we would use or consider using because the first Coronavirus Response Act is law. I mean, like we have to follow that, so we don't, that would trump policy anyway. So we will have a form that staff will fill out to request that leave. It was brought up by a couple of you also. You noticed right away that this would expire as it stands today on December 31st. So we'd be adopting something to put it in policy for a few months. So for 422 and E1, E2, I'm recommending that we don't approve that. We will, of course, our staff will have available to them the leave that is permitted under the first Coronavirus Response Act. We will have paperwork in place for them to make that request. And we don't need to have policy to do that. So then if you moved to 427, which is the employee family medical leave policy with the regulations. So this is, I did have Emily review this as well. And she made a couple little changes, but nothing too major. I know it was asked, it was asked about the places where it says son or daughter. Annika, we talked about that. I did ask specifically about that, and she was okay with it either way, whether that should just say child or children. She doesn't know the exact background, but that was in the original language of FMLA. So I just left it that way. And if we wanted to have a conversation, we could. She thought there might be, if you got really detailed, it might, by saying specifically son or daughter, it might be a little more limiting than child or children, but it's probably not. They would be comfortable with it either way. The other thing that I wanted to point out is there's a place where it says may/shall. I'm trying to find the page number. I think I went too far.
I was looking at that one. I saw like later on it, so it switched to May.
One thing that happens with our policies is we get a lot of formatting, and there's some things that if you're looking in your packet in your
It's over here.
folder.
It's on page 3.
Okay, you have this one too, page 3. I talked through the may and shall. You can see we need to have one or the other, not both. And if you read through there, you see may used more regularly, and our attorney's recommendation was to go with may rather than shall.
It's page 3, where it says medical certification, page 3. Goes on and on, but it's actually, it says may there. That's what I was gonna say. You
Yeah,
switch it to
it's
may
used
there.
may, they use may there, and then
Mhm.
I think the copy that's in your packet is missing something.
Yeah, I think it's missing because it wasn't consistent later on. It said may or it's may / shall. And we need
Yeah.
to make sure it was consistent.
Yeah, shortly after that, under medical certification, number 4, it says when required, and then there's an I, double I, triple I, and in each of those, there's a may / shall.
Mhm.
And my recommendation based on what the attorney shared was to keep that as may, or to go with may.
May, yeah, agree.
I don't see like a stepson or stepdaughter sitting there, which obviously they probably would have, but they're applicable in that situation.
It's not, if it's not listed in here, it wouldn't be.
That's-
That was one example that she brought up to me, is where you're talking about more limiting.
We have so many stepkids, we have, you know, tons of families.
Exactly.
Mhm.
To me, it seems that that should be that way, in my opinion.
At least children, at least to cover the children, stepmother, stepfather, step.
Or there's someplace in there to have a, you know,
Yeah.
definition of a
Yes.
child is, you know,
Yeah.
son, daughter,
Step-
stepson,
right.
stepdaughter.
I agree.
I think we should have that a part of the policy. I don't know how you guys feel about it.
I think you're right. Well, and I'm thinking like in my situation in the past,
Well,
It's a past. I had this grandchild
granddaughter.
and I'm her guardian. That's
Right.
my child.
Should we put guardians in there too? Keep
And
that
then the
language.
other way is that their guardian,
Mhm. Guardian children.
child's guardian, whatever,
Yeah.
however, we- yeah.
Or any child under the care, custody and control, which would include stepchildren.
That's a nice
And
way.
and foster children, and it would include everyone, not just a biological son or daughter.
I like the language you just
I
said.
think that's under the definitions in the family medical leave, it's a definition that has like son and daughter is biological type, child, adopted child, foster child, stepchild, legal
Okay.
order.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. Thanks,
I wish
Annika.
these pages had been numbered. I wish I
Yeah,
had
well-
thought to number them.
And that they are, that's where I'm saying, Mary, she told me, she goes, I'm just really, yeah, she said, I can't get the formatting straightened out. And so we will get them numbered, because this one's multiple pages and we need to be able to refer to those, but we'll get that straightened out. So,
Okay.
That sounds good.
They're covered into that.
yeah,
Yeah.
Get to that.
Okay.
yeah. Okay. Then if you go to the next one's 431 classified employee, this is a proposed new policy on professional purposes leave. And it basically gives, it's a policy that says that professional purposes leave would be granted to classified employees for the purpose of attending meetings and conferences directly related to their assignment. So professional development or learning opportunities, would be handled similarly, or well, the same way that we would for teachers, administrators, those kind of things, or pretty similar. Okay, any questions on that one? Then, if not, the next one's 502, student absences. Okay, so
Yeah.
right in the middle of that page, we have that paragraph about that ISB is recommending we add due to, the virus and the situations. You see it, it says that we believe traditional in-person school attendance leads to the greatest learning opportunities for students. However, there may be rare and unusual circumstances created by public emergencies declared by state and local officials, which temporarily prevent students from attending traditional in-person school. In these circumstances, the superintendent will have discretion to make reasonable accommodations for students on a case-by-case basis to attend school through remote learning opportunities within available resources of the district and as permitted by law. During approved remote learning, attendance will be taken, assessments will be administered, and grades will count towards students' cumulative grade point average as if they were attending in person. The provision for special education and accommodations for students who have individualized education programs or IEPs or Section 504 plans will be determined by each respective IEP or Section 504 team. So that paragraph was added to our current policy on student absences excused. Now, in our individual meetings, it comes in later, doesn't it, on the school day? Yeah, never mind, not on this policy. So we're asking to add that paragraph to this policy. And then the next page, you see the student remote learning form. Now, we use that form standalone for the remote learning that we're offering students right now. We just took the policy number off. That's the form that we use. So any questions on that one? Then the next one is school day. Oh, you got one.
It's below, yeah, we're talking about, we're sort of on 502. We talked about.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I still have this one about the attendance, the half day of the
Yeah.
activity. We discussed that before about having them show up. If they're sick, should we have them show up
Right.
half a day?
So, and I think that is very, very much something that we probably need to look at, especially even moving out of COVID-19. We probably need to look at that. What I would say right now with the things that we have in place where you have to quarantine, you have to be symptom free, those kind of things, that's going to change how we handle these situations as compared to the past. So if a student comes in and they were sick on Thursday and they show up on Friday at lunchtime or noon or 11:30, and so they can play or compete in the activity that night, and they're exhibiting and they've been sick, we need to know that they're symptom free. So through observation, through communication from home, those kind of things, we have that in place. And so if you were gone on Thursday, again, you got to have been symptom free for 24 hours. So I don't think I think that's a conversation that we have to have with the high school before we move forward with making a change there. And we really haven't had the opportunity to talk about that very much yet. So I'm not saying that that we shouldn't change that. I'm just saying we may not want to change that right now. Okay. And with having the things in place that we have because of the virus, I think we're going to see less of that anyway. Plus the constant conversations that we're having about, we got to change our mindset. If you're not feeling well, we don't want you to be in school or with the team or whatever, because we increase the chances of creating an interruption. So
We can revisit this later.
Yeah. Yep.
Post-COVID.
Yep.
So we will put this one into a second reading.
Yes.
Mhm.
So then next is 602.
School day.
Yeah. Okay, this one, there is one place where we need to say superintendent or building principal. As I read it, I think it probably should say superintendent will create administrative regulations necessary to utilize any remote learning opportunities that are available and permitted by law during their period of closure. So I'm responsible for making sure that there's regulations in place. That doesn't mean I'll sit down and do it. I mean, principals will be involved. Depending on what we're talking about, others will be as well. I just think that's probably the person that needs to, the position that needs to be there.
Mhm.
Mhm, I agree.
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions on
Take
that?
out that bracket, and I'm trying to find where the rest of the bracket went.
It's behind principal. Yeah, we'll take that, we'll take that out.
Yeah.
Just strike out the and or building principals.
Yep, in the brackets.
Okay. That
We'll
works.
just say the superintendent will create administrative regulations.
Yes.
I agree.
Okay,
6:46.
appropriate online learning platforms. This is a new policy.
Is this for all schools too, Casey, for elementary?
Mhm.
Okay.
Is this like Connections Academy, which isn't who we are technically using, but some people in this district do use it? Will that be incorporated? No, okay.
No,
So
this is,
outside of,
yeah, those students, the students that choose to go to CAM Connections Academy or the Iowa Virtual Academy out in Clayton Ridge, or now Des Moines, Council Bluffs has one online school. Those students open enroll. So we don't write policy that would relate to those programs. This is what this deals with are we've offered an online option to our students this year. So it relates to those students and then also any online learning that we would do throughout the year for students, whether, we have to, if we would have to move to remote online learning or if students are quarantined or, that kind of thing.
Question just in regards to the online learning as far as, if you got a handle down on how many are going to go in that direction, and is it the district's online learning, or do we have some that are going to a third party source for that online?
So yeah, and that
Right,
in
that's
my
one of your updates.
report, that's fine. But we do have, to answer the question, we have about 80 kids, K-12 that have requested that. We had already had in place to use an approved by the state. There's a list of places you can go for online. So you can't just do a Google search and, and so Edgenuity, something we've used in the past. And so 612, we had that in place. And we are going to need to have that in place also K5 as well. And so we're using that. So what that looks like is our staff manages that. It's not our staff recording lessons and sending it to students or the student joining through a camera in our classroom. Those 80 kids aren't doing that. These 80 kids will be using the Edgenuity platform and receiving instruction. And it's not just assignment completion,
So
it's
instructions
education.
come from people at Edgenuity.
Yeah, things that are plugged into that system, created
So our
already.
teachers not our basic, more of a support person to that student.
Support and help operate the software and that kind of thing. Like, so if my student is ready to take a test, we have somebody managing that they have access to the test and that they take the test. They basically make sure that the students and families are able to access the things on Edgenuity that they need to be able to access. And it would serve as a support.
I wasn't sure what that doesn't look like. They're doing the exact same curriculum that our kids in a classroom are doing, but apparently they would not.
They'd be covering the same or very similar standards. Like elementary, of course, if you might recall, we talked about, we kind of wanted to get a sense of the numbers. If we just had 5 or 6 kids, we probably wouldn't do it different. We got more than that. Yeah. And to ask our teachers to have these 15 kids and, you've got 7, you've got 5, 3, 2, whatever. that you need to, that's asking a lot. They're gonna have to do some of that anyway when we get in situations where somebody's quarantining. So we don't need to have each teacher having 3 different things going. And so that's where we're gonna need
So
to
in
pursue
case of
ingenuity.
event that we went all online,
Mhm.
take that worst case scenario, where do all the other kids that in classroom, are they gonna flip to Ingenuity or?
Good question. No. If we have to go online, our teachers will be providing the education through Google Classroom and some other tools that we have. Yep. And it could be even learning packets as well, but this year that's required. So our teachers will do that work for those students. The 80 kids will stay in Ingenuity.
Even if we do
Yeah.
flipped over to online.
At
we
least-
have 2 different online
yeah,
curriculums,
right. At
basically.
least through the first semester.
Where does preschool land in all of this? Is there nothing, if we have to quarantine, they're just stuff that come in, or?
Preschool, yeah, if we're doing remote online, preschool wouldn't come as well. But I know that the elementary principals and preschool staff are talking about that. And there's some different things out there that they're looking at that would be able to help in those situations. Yep. Okay.
9:28.
928
Yes.
is, okay, yep, this one we have, yeah, we got to make a decision on this one too. So this is district operations during public emergencies, and this is a new policy. ISB is recommending. You can read that first paragraph. The last sentence says, at times of a public emergency declared by federal, state, or local officials, the district will seek guidance and recommendations from federal, state, and local agencies to assist in determining the safety of convening traditional in-person learning. Then you see the next is italicized and in brackets. It's the difference there is it says during the declared public emergency, the school board delegates to the superintendent the authority to determine whether to close school buildings to traditional in-person learning if the superintendent determines in-person learning would hinder the health and safety of the school community. The district will instead utilize remote or hybrid learning opportunities permitted by law. Or you can choose that, or if due to the public emergency, the school board determines that holding in traditional in-person learning at district facilities would hinder health and safety of the school community, the district will instead utilize remote or hybrid learning opportunities permitted by law. So the difference is, does the board want to delegate that decision to the superintendent, or does the board want to, in that situation, we would have a special board meeting, the board would convene and make that decision if you choose if we want to do the second choice. And you might think, well, okay, it's Wednesday and we need to be online on Thursday. As we know how it's set up right now, that it can't happen that fast anyway, with the parameters that are in place. Because what we have to do, obviously, work with Iowa Public Health on the metrics and conditions in our county and schools. And then also there's got to be an application to the Department of Ed. So I would see that being, okay, we've done the communication, special board meeting to determine if we're submitting the application is kind of how I'm thinking right now that process would
So
work.
you're in that process for a day or two going on until you're back from the Department of Ed. Is everything proceeding as normal, or do you jump off and we would not have, let's say we have an outbreak, then or the kids that we just would not be in school until we get the approval to jump to the hybrid or jump to an all online. There's got to be a gap in there for where.
Well, I think that's where some schools are struggling in that, because the DE has kind of said there, it would be up to a 48-hour
What do
turnaround.
we do during those 48
Right.
hours? Yeah, that's my question.
Now, I should say, we're talking about, that's in place for the online. The hybrid, that would be a district decision. So it's possible that you could say, you know what, things are ramped up here, and we need to, we're not sure that how much longer, maybe you go to hybrid. To fill that gap, or maybe a little bit longer. That's possible. But the choice is there. The big thing is what do we want that to be? Do you want that to be that we would have a special board meeting to make that decision? Or is it something you want to delegate to the superintendent?
What's your preference?
Well, I see it both ways.
What would you like?
Be deflective.
Yeah.
Hit the tennis
Yeah.
ball back.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I do. There's part of me that's like, well, decisions need to be made, timely, and sometimes it's a challenge to get the board together. But as you know, the deeper we get into this, the more contentious, possibly, the more challenges that arise.
The problem I see on this is if they're, you get 2 or 3 kids or staff and a couple of kids or whatever, they get 3 or 4 people tested and come back and there's a positive test. I mean, the reaction time on that is not almost be so fast, because you're gonna get bombarded with calls about, what are you doing? Should I send my kids to school? You're gonna have a lot of kids not show up at
Sure.
school just because of, so we kind of know and it's kind of, how do we keep that thing from being a runaway wildfire?
Yeah.
What do you want coverage to? Do you want us to meet with you to cover, our input, so that you're not held with everything too? That's another thing. Do you want our input? Would that make you feel more comfortable as the superintendent?
Well, obviously, I think my answer to that would be, yeah, I think I like that idea. And I've been in some conversations. It's, we can get a board meeting together pretty quick. A lot, we now can meet virtually.
Right.
So
I just would like to go with your recommendation, because this is a huge, huge decision, and to make on your own. I don't want to leave you hanging, feeling that you don't have support or were able to talk to us at all about it. I mean, that's just my feeling, but it is.
It's kind of like the buck stops with you, however, we're willing to pick up the chain.
Yeah. Yeah. If you would feel you would like it, but I would like it to be your preference. Really, I would really like it to be your preference in either way. So, but I just wanted to throw that out there because I felt like as a group.
And then, I think back to last spring, I don't know, this says if it declared public emergency, well, the governor, there was an emergency and we closed school. We didn't have a board meeting.
Right.
Now, as we go into this year and we think about possibly, being in school and all that's gone on, and you play out the different scenarios, I don't know if it would, the board approved a return to learn plan, we went through
That's what
and did that.
So you have the freedom to make a choice.
Yeah.
Decision too.
Right.
Yeah. So
I think it's very tough to come up with a policy that states this is what you're going to do, because you're going to have a fluid situation.
Exactly.
If you have 2 kids or two individuals that had a positive test, or you got,
Yeah.
10.
it's
I know.
Oh, and it is crazy, because 2 children in an 1,800 member school district isn't even 1% of
Yeah.
the population.
No.
And
But if you're talking 20 kids, suddenly
Yeah.
we're talking a big problem.
And I think this year you'll see, there'll be some interruptions, but maybe at a classroom level, grade level, building level, before it would get to district level. But
I kind of personally feel like you're going to be making like a classroom level decision. I think you should
yeah,
totally call that shot on your own.
Sure.
So if we get into something, obviously with we shut down all of Fairview, I think then that's probably a good board discussion. And obviously, you're gonna be making a recommendation on what we would do there, but I would think then you'd want to have a little more discussion. with,
Mhm.
I think the classroom or individual things is. And those, when those do come up, they need to be reacted on pretty quickly.
Mhm. I think, yeah, I was thinking there's something similar to what you just said, Dwayne. I think it's very possible we could go, you could do option, we could put the first paragraph in there and there still maybe is, the situation still may warrant us having a board meeting.
Right.
So, it's probably okay either way, but,
Well, I always like to know what's going on. I think what we could look at is that if something awful happens where we have to quickly make decisions, if you were at least to contact Karen,
sure.
and then the rest of us would get caught up, that would make it an easier decision for you, I would think, just because.
You would have to make 5 calls or
Yeah,
6 calls.
and then, because I thought once it shut down, when school shut down, which I found out at Walmart on Sunday night,
Yeah.
but when I got home, here was an email. So I was like, oh, okay, as long as we know what's happening.
Yeah.
I was glad nobody knew who I was that night.
Yeah. Yeah, that Sunday night, yeah,
That was
that thing
crazy.
happened fast, yeah. So I guess, I mean, I feel like I feel very, I think I know I'm comfortable and I think it would be okay to use the first paragraph. Because as I said before, I think it's gonna be, as I see the year progressing, just playing out different scenarios, the board's gonna be involved and informed for sure. Like, I mean, you'll know before we would make any changes. And as I said, I could see a special board meeting being called, even though it's worded that I can do it on my own, just given the situation that we have.
Yeah.
So,
It's a good compromise.
okay. Okay.
R1, district operation during public emergencies regulations.
Yeah, so this is, goes with 928.
So far, have you had any organizations you've had to say no to that have requested to rent the buildings and things, Casey? So-
No.
Okay.
On this one, I would recommend that we change, on the second to last paragraph, it says individuals with a temperature over 100.3. I would recommend that we change that to individuals with a temperature of 100.4, because that's what we're using everywhere else. It's a little confusing.
Okay.
So let's,
Okay. So that's the last of those.
that's the
Yeah,
last
that's it.
one.
Mhm.
That was almost painless.
So you said you wanted to have a second reading on
502.
502. You could approve all the rest and waive the second reading, but 502 we'd bring back next month.
Okay.
I make a motion that we approve all policies, I'm not gonna name them all, but less code number 502 as. I don't have
The
Jen
first-
to help me.
You mean
here.
the first reading?
And waive the second
Wait,
reading.
the
Wait,
second
yeah.
reading, thank you.
Yes.
And with that addition to the 100.4 degrees on that
Yes,
928 R1.
All corrections.
That little
And the changes that
Yes.
we talked
The
about
ch- and all
too.
changes
Yeah.
that we've-
the
that-
changes,
I also wanted to strike the verbiage on 602, the and/or building principles.
yes.
Right.
Yeah.
We'll let you do it, Glenn.
No, I'll second it.
Thank you.
Karen,
Yes.
Monica,
Yes.
Cindy,
Yes,
Dwayne,
Yes.
Okay, moving right along.
yeah. I trust you carry on a lot of stuff.
that's why I tape recorded.
Yes. Memorandum of Understanding with Head Start. That's in the very back of your packet as well. I think it's kind of, is that the green one? Yeah, that's
Yep.
the green one, kind of a lime green.
So we have a agreement with Head Start. We transport students to and from the Head Start facility, and they come to our preschool. And so it's something we've had in place. So it's just an annual type thing that we approve it each year. So, no changes to it.
It also
Okay.
states it can be altered with agreement with both parties at any time.
The memorandum of understanding with Head Start.
I'll second.
Monica,
Yes.
Cindy,
Yes,
Dwayne,
Yes.
Karen,
Yes. Moving on to Casey's report, superintendent report.
Well, I just have a few things that I wanted to update you on. One of which was online learning. We have 80 students. That's around, depending on where our enrollment ends up, 5 to 6% of our students, our families, students, every students selected online learning option. That breakdown is 38 in the elementary, 25 at the middle school, and 17 at the high school. The deadline for that was on Friday. We still had some calls today. And again, the reason why we have to set a deadline is because we have to be able to make sure that we're able to handle things on our end with that. So we got to have an idea of how many kids we're talking about. So the plan there, 6 through 12, we had the Edgenuity license. Mr. Rabbit has been in communication with Edgenuity for the elementary level. They do have a K5 option. Well, for us, it'd be K5. We're looking to get that in place. And so we will have a staff person in charge at both levels of managing that, managing those students on Edgenuity. And we have asked if they fill the form out today and they change their mind, that's fine. But so the next step here is we'll have some sort of an orientation with these families. And if they proceed from there, we have asked them to, commit to the semester. And then they could reevaluate at the end of that time. So that's where we stand with the online option for families. A few other things that we're working on right now. I mentioned this in an email update. Band and vocal, we're still having conversations on the best way to go about that. I shared with you some guidance that came out, I think I did, with the Iowa High School Music Association. And you read in there, they talked about things like holding classes outside, bigger spaces than gyms or auditoriums if you don't normally do that. and we're looking at all those things. Also, for vocal anyway, for sure they're talking, they not recommend, well, they talk, everybody should required to wear a mask when they're singing.
Yeah.
And so, we're a little bit wondering about that. I think our music teachers feel like, we should have the kids wear masks when they're singing. We're trying to determine how we do that. Do we follow that guidance, or, our decision here has been masks were strongly recommended. And so, that's something that we're having some discussion about, the best way to approach that. Band, something similar. I think they talk about that there's a mask that's got a cut in it, but, you also got the other end that stuff comes out.
Makes no sense at all.
They've got, what's that?
That makes no sense at all.
The singing or the band?
Both.
Yeah, that's,
Let's be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of think about the chorus. I don't know, maybe they don't have quite enough room to put them on opposite ends of the room.
oh, we wouldn't be able to use the regular chorus room. We're at the high school, they're talking about using the auditorium.
Theater. or
The auditorium, yeah, yeah.
Go into the auditorium where you could.
Yeah, no, we're talking about using the auditorium instead of the regular music
Yeah.
practice room.
Yeah.
And smaller groups, and we're talking about all those things. And outside.
Yeah, I just struggle to see how, honestly, they're gonna have a concert, sing with masks on.
Well, we're just trying to figure out how to have class right now. And we haven't gotten to concerts yet, but we'll probably have to look at the best way to do concerts.
I just think we need to look at getting those kids in a place where they can be 6 foot apart. So they can.
Yeah.
Probably could pull that off in the auditorium because it's not that big of a choir.
Right.
Therefore, they can be spaced. You have all the tenors on one end and all the bass and then
Oh.
sopranos. You could space them out.
In middle school, they're talking about using the gym when it's available, that kind of thing.
I know the
So,
one
yeah,
music teacher did expressed in emails about wearing
Yeah,
masks.
yeah.
So I kind of thought, wow.
but, and so I wanted to make sure you saw, that association sent that guidance out. So that's where some of that's been driven. If they were talking about that kind of early on with the whole idea of schools opening, when you put a group of people in a room and they're singing, your different stuff comes out of your mouth when you're singing, and they have a bigger group of them.
It expels farther.
yeah.
It expels
Yeah.
20 feet, not 6
Yeah.
to 10.
Yeah.
Whereas
So
if we're going to look at that group of activities, why are we not looking at all the groups of extracurricular activities? Because we're still.
in terms of wearing masks,
wearing masks or having them at all. is
Well,
not.
I let me get to fall activities. I'm not done
Sorry
yet.
about
So
that. I didn't mean to stop
yeah,
on your report.
yeah. So I wanted to make you aware of that, and on the band and vocal, that's one of the challenging areas. Transportation, we met with the city police department today, Jeff Cullen and I, and also the Kemper administration, and had maps of the city and where the schools are located, and so there'll be for sure on that first week or so of school, police presence. And the other thing too, we've got, as you probably are aware, some streets in town that are right now they're closed, but you can drive through them but eventually, they'll be closed for a little while. And that's one of them goes right in front of St. Lawrence. So they talk through that.
My dad does not look like it's gonna go.
Yeah, no, it's not.
Is Jeff getting the numbers and communication?
Yeah, that's gotten better.
No, it's been going on
That's
for
gotten better.
years.
Yeah.
Did you say something?
Two other things, just real quick. CARES money, just so you know, we haven't, with the CARES funds we got, I think it was, Gary, was around 122,000. Was that ours? Yeah. And so, you know, when you think about, we bought 300 Chromebooks. These Edgenuity purchases could be coded there if we choose to do that. And there's been some other equipment type things we bought, the sprayers that we can spray, and the particles stick to the hydrostatic sprayers.
Were there any
Um,
students that needed like hotspots? We talked about some, so they can have internet at home.
So hotspots, there's now another set of, it's called Gears. It's the governor's emergency something. Schools have access now to funds that they could use for hotspots and that kind of thing. So a separate pot. But if you get questions about, in terms of PPE, what we've spent money on, besides the CARES fund, we also did apply and receive a FEMA, Sarah Anderson helped with that, a FEMA type grant. The county did as well. And you know, we've several of our PPE things have come from the FEMA funds. So I would say that Gary and I talked about this today. We haven't spent a lot of PPE, put a lot of PPE there. They've been more educational type things is what we've spent CARES money on so far. It's interesting about everything that comes up now is like, well, couldn't that be COVID, which is code for CARES, but it isn't unlimited, but yet we haven't spent all of that money at this point. So, and then the final thing, we talked about fall activities. Another thing that's very much an item that we're spending quite a bit of time on right now is fall activities. So yeah, they're underway, they're practicing. I think if you go to see our practices, you'll see coaches wearing face coverings and kids at certain points. I haven't been to a practice, but I know in talking to Randy, for sure, I know our coaches are doing that. But when we think about the games and the competitions starting, myself, Randy, we've both been involved in some meetings on, how we're going to handle those things. Our athletic conference, the Raccoon River Conference, is setting up guidelines that they're just that, they're guidelines. The superintendents believe if we can be close on as a conference on how we handle these things, that would be best. So when we talk about those, we're talking about attendance, capacity of our facilities. We're talking about face coverings. Now, I've told them that here our decision has been that they're strongly recommended. So other schools are requiring them. So when our people go there, they'll have to follow those rules. But here, that's how we're handling face coverings. But concessions, all those kind of things. So we're in the process of making plans for that. I think that you'll see that in this summer baseball and softball, we kind of said, put out the information, here's what you need to do, and then we kind of left it up to people. We didn't really mark off bleachers or seats or those kind of things. You'll see more of that kind of thing, and also some more specific things around where you can set how many people can be in, that kind of thing for our events. So to what you're saying, you will see some changes. Now we're holding them, but back to what, if you think back to the meeting 2 weeks ago, it was flipped a little bit, but the concern was, well, we should be doing the same thing in school that we are for activities. Well, what are we doing? We're saying we're not going to have everybody in the lunchroom. We're trying to have fewer kids in band or vocal at a time. We're trying all those things. So to say that we're just going to have a gym full of people for a volleyball game isn't probably, doesn't make sense to some.
You need to know that I read on Facebook, and I cannot remember who posted it, but it was that each athlete was going to be limited. It was like it was a done deal. Each athlete will be limited to 2 tickets per student.
Here?
Yeah.
Where do they get this?
And
No,
so
we haven't talked about
needs to
that.
be shot down. I mean, I'm not saying it's a bad idea, but that's floating around the community as a done deal.
No, it's not a done deal. In fact, that I've not been in any meetings where that's been talked about, limited to 2 per person.
Just
So,
letting you know that
yeah.
that got floated out there, and I haven't seen it recently because I was
That's
looking.
that's happened. I know one case in another district was told us when you get to 4
Mhm.
per student, and I don't know how you regulate that.
Exactly.
That's gotta be.
In some school, in the metro, like the CIML conference is limiting, and they're doing tickets or that kind of thing. Again, we're still trying to figure out what's the best plan for Carroll. So we haven't said that it's 2, that it's 4, that it's limited per family at all. But you will see changes. Like for our football games, I don't know that we're going to be able to section off a section for K-8 kids and a section for high school kids. We're going to be able to need to use the whole section of bleachers. And so we might not be able to take, may not be able to take the kids that just get dropped off that night at a football game. We're fortunate that we have the stadium and we have a concession stand on each side, so we don't have intermingling. Bathrooms, the same thing. So we have some advantages, but I know Randy is down there, and we're looking at number one, what is the capacity of our facility, the real capacity. So there might be a number attached to it, but that's like kind of like buses, a real slender person. And then
18-inch seats.
yeah.
22 is
Yeah.
18.
What are there places that we haven't utilized in the stadium that we could have people stand, or, we're looking at all that stuff. So our objective isn't to, obviously we want parents to be able to watch their kids participate, and we're not trying to end or eliminate that. But we are going to try to, again, a lot of this comes back to what are the things we can put in place to make sure that school goes on consistently without interruption. Same with our activities. And another thing is baseball and softball aren't the same as the fall sports. We get bigger crowds. We're in school, so kids go back to school the next day. So they are different.
I would expect we're gonna get a lot of people use Tiger Vision.
Yeah.
I really think we'll see it. And thank goodness we have a great program in place there.
And
Isn't that an amazing thing? Yeah.
I think this might be the year that, grandparents should really take advantage of the Tiger Vision and just not put yourself in that situation. So, and some others as well, if you have underlying health conditions and that kind of thing. So, but that's something that we're working pretty hard on, and trying to put a reasonable plan in place that makes sense for us while trying to, I told Randy today, I'm not interested in being the lone school in the Raccoon River that's, doing their own thing completely. Now, our circumstances are different sometimes, and that has to be taken into account. And I think that we'll be reasonable in that way. Also talking with Kemper as well. We share a stadium, or they use our stadium. So we're talking with them as well. And then football, that's districts. So that's a different set of schools actually that we play. So we've been in communication with them as well. It's likely that some places we go, we will receive an allotment of tickets. And those are the only people from here that will be able to go to those football games. So.
It'd be like a first come, first serve, or will it be families? How will you do that?
Obviously, I think we would, for those road game situations, we would want to give our families the first shot at those. Absolutely. Yep.
Alrighty.
When do you expect to kind of have what you're going to recommend or guidelines for the sports?
Well, we have to have things in place. We have a football, we have a scrimmage Friday night, a football game a week from Friday. So he's working on getting those guidelines in place this week.
So would you get those emailed out to us?
Sure.
In place, please.
Yep, we'll get them out to you before they're announced. Yeah. Yeah. So what's going on there. But you won't see us do anything that's not in line with the things that are already in our return to learn.
Okay. Did you have a question?
Oh, no, I have a,
Oh,
in my eye,
oh,
like my finger. Sorry.
oh, no, I thought we had a question. Now, you had this permission to dispose of furniture from the middle school computer.
Yeah. So we have a board policy that says, the board needs to grant permission to dispose of district equipment that's obsolete or outdated. So we have a room in the middle school that we're using for our iRise program this year. And it used to be a lab type room, a computer lab. I think they did some STEM type classes in there. And so we took out some of those stations in that room so it could be better utilized for the program that's in there. And they were custom stations for that room. I think they were put in there when the building was built or shortly thereafter. So they've been in there a while. They're really not the kind of things that you would be able to put on Marketplace or something like that and sell. So what we don't want is just, well, we don't know what to do with them, so we'll stick them in a shed or third floor or whatever. We want to get permission to, haul them to the landfill is where they would end up going, or scrap or whatever. So
Well, I'll move to approve the disposal of unneeded furniture from middle school computer tables, stations.
I'll second.
Cindy,
Yes.
Dwayne, Dwayne,
Yes.
Karen,
Yes.
Annika,
Yes.
Okay. Sharing agreement with the Sioux Central Swimming.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
a
that-
good drive.
Yeah.
Is that Sioux Rapids?
Yes, isn't it? Or no?
well, it's Sioux Central and Sioux Center. I get them mixed up. This one is 50 minutes or so away is what the parent told us. They can get here in 50 minutes.
Sioux Rapids.
That's like
Yeah.
71 Little Market Start.
I'm kind of
Yeah, that'd
surprised
be
they're
it.
not going up to Spencer unless Spencer doesn't have.
Yeah, no.
They're 20 miles from Spencer.
Well, I don't know what the situation is, but they did swimming with Storm Lake. Univista's not letting Storm Lake use their pool this year, and so they're looking for another place. So
Do you
that's,
think
But I
we
wonder the
might
same problem. Why would they not go to Spencer?
Spencer or Storm Lake? but
I'm not sure.
Maybe those are
Spencer's
closed this year.
they might not be doing, yeah, maybe
They might
they're,
not be open either.
Will we be hearing from other school districts that want to be a part of?
I doubt it because it already started. They contacted us actually before practice started, and we said it wouldn't be official till this board meeting,
How
but
many students are looking to want to come down?
just a couple. It's not very many.
All right.
Yeah, it's just a couple.
Because you're gonna get that concern of bringing
Yeah.
somebody from outside, you don't.
Yeah, I know. We talked about that.
And that's, if it's a couple of students, I'm fine with that, 'cause that's a pretty small group and they're gonna be at the rec and then they're gone.
Yeah.
So,
I think we'll be okay with it. Yeah, they wouldn't. I think it's one family, and I don't remember if they got one or two students, but that swim. But it's one family, I believe.
And the coaches are okay.
Yep, coaches are okay.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we accept the sharing agreement for the swimming team from Sioux Central Community Schools.
I'll second that.
Dwayne,
Yes.
Karen,
Yes.
Annika,
Yes.
Cindy,
Yes.
Okay. Moving on to the business office report. Gary.
look in your packet toward the back. There's two sheets stapled together on Carroll letterhead. And we'll start with dairy. We got two bids this year, Anderson Erickson. DFA is actually Dean Foods from Lamar's. Yeah. And you can see the bids there. Anderson Erickson is low on most things. You can see on skim chocolate milk, Anderson Erickson is slightly higher, and they're also a little higher on cottage cheese, but cottage cheese we don't use much at all.
That's a big seller in grade school.
Yeah. And you probably use it on
Mixed with
salad bars.
Doritos and Fritos.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm recommend, the one problem I had with Dean Foods too, we've had them before, but we asked that they bid straws. And for some reason, they said they're not going to provide straws this year. So that's another expense that we would have. But this is a 1-year bid, and I would recommend that we go with the Anderson Erickson. And then on the other one, we are just happy to get a bid on the bakery. Beanbo, quite frankly, they own most of the baked good products that you see in the store anyway. But we really shortened the bid down this year to only those items that we really use. And so I gave you what their bid was and what their bid was last year. So we're just recommending those two be approved.
You considered ID?
Yes, we actually send a bid. They have never bid, so,
Okay,
but I always send one to them.
Okay.
Yep.
Thought maybe you had, but I'm.
And we did use a bakery from Davenport, the one that does Wonder
Is
Bread.
that Sunshine?
I don't think so, but I can't remember the name of it. We used them 1 year, and I think we mutually decided it wasn't working out. Plus, I think it also kind of depends if we're on the route,
Right.
and that's why not every dairy bids either, because, you
And
got-
Jimbo is set up for the
yes.
size of our school district.
Yeah.
Right.
And the other thing I would mention is that this bid not only affects us, but since we assist Arweva, this is also for Arweva. So they make a stop in Arweva and drop their stuff
Oh,
off
okay.
too, so, which is nice.
Mhm.
So
I'll move that we accept the dairy bid from Anderson Erickson and the Bimbo Bakery bid for the baked goods.
I'll second,
Karen,
Yes.
Annika,
Yes.
Cindy,
yes.
Dwayne,
Yes.
then the next one is this annual settlements. And here I thought I was gonna get ahead of things and we would do this month. Normally, we do it, I don't know, a month or two later. All this is we're required by the code to provide you with our bank balances at the end of the fiscal year. So I thought I'd get it done early, but we had a problem with one of the banks. They sent us 2 of them so far and both of them are wrong. So we will do this at the next month's meeting. We're not going to be late. We're actually doing it early, but yeah, I thought we'd have this all ready to go, but we don't.
We'll table this in the annual settlement report for next
Yep.
meeting.
And then lastly, at the back of your packet is the budget reports. I'll just run through these. These are for the last fiscal year, and we're getting to where we're just about done. The first one is how we compared to the published budget. There were a couple of changes this year, primarily in the general fund between this month, between support and instruction. Right now, I'm going through a lot of the expenditures from last year. I'm doing reports for the various programs, and every once in a while, we'll find a mistake where it was coded incorrectly. Well, I noticed that this month, there was some expenses that were moved from support services to instruction. And that's the largest change in this, but it really, overall doesn't really affect much. We were under our published budget. You can see in the yellow boxes where we finished up fine there. The next sheet is our expenditures and our revenues compared to our line item budget. And you can see we're pretty good shape there in general fund. We didn't quite collect all the money that we thought we would, but we also didn't spend as much as we thought we would either. So we're fine there. Activity fund finished pretty strong this year. And that's good because this could be a tough year for activity fund. Because
Mhm.
if we run our activities, we probably won't have near the revenues from admissions. So it's a good thing we had a good year this past one. Management, I mean, we should hit that pretty close, and we did. Local option sales tax, you can tell our expenditures are under what we thought, and a lot of that has to do with the COVID. PEPL, on the other hand, our expenditures are up there 91%. Well, if you remember, early in the year, we bought quite a few vehicles. And so that's why your expenditure level is high. Debt service, anyone can estimate that. I'm not going to take any credit for that one. And then school nutrition fund, I was a little nervous on that. And you can see we were very close on revenues, 99.66%. And our expenditures were under what we thought. We were at 87.5. So finished the year fine. I'm pretty happy with that.
Does that include those meals this summer?
Yep. See,
That's pretty
the
good.
federal government paid us pretty
Yeah.
good for those.
That's
So
good.
it
That's a
worked
good
out well.
program.
Yes,
We
yes.
still lost, expenditures on those other 3 days.
Mhm.
We had 2
Yep.
days. So there just was a lot of frequency.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As someone who made use of that for a couple of kids, that was so well run. That was just really a good program.
Yeah.
It was well run.
Yep. No, and thank goodness we had done the summer program the last several years. And so that kind of was a model for how to do this. So. And then the last 3 pages, you've seen these before: local option sales tax, PEPL, and management fund. And what I did is in the yellow box at the bottom, that's what our ending balance should be. You probably won't see that very much when we get our certified annual report done. That it should be very close to what those yellow boxes show. So we finished up, I mean, we have a pretty good balance in all 3 of those funds. So that's all I had.
Thank you, Gary. Correspondence, announcements, and information. So, looks like these dates are correct. Casey, I take it? We haven't changed any of these dates
Nope.
here? Okay. So August 20th, K-8 open house.
Yeah, and then if you see anything on that, it's not an open house like everybody comes. It's more of a similar to like parent teacher conferences, I guess you'd say.
Do they have certain times that they have to show up or?
Yeah, they're scheduling.
Okay, good. All right. August 17th, professional development.
Today.
Exactly.
New teachers came. Today was the first of those 2 additional days we gave. And then technically Wednesday is the first official day for teachers. 25th is, yep.
25th is the first day of school. Everyone's looking forward to that. And what variation there is. August 31st, first day of school for preschool. Here we go.
Yep.
Yeah,
Fall.
always come the week after.
Yeah, the 2020. Any suggestions for the September 21st board meeting? We'll have to see what happens, won't we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
No
By that
control.
time, there'll be something, I'm sure. Okay. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I so moved.
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
I
Thank you. Adjourn.
Thanks, everybody.
No, honestly, I had to
Second.
laugh because it's always this way. The city always wants to do their road work right before school.
That's true. That is so true.